Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. Kyle Schwarber hits homer number 50, a major milestone, and why the Phillies have played the Mets perfectly in this series.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You might know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic, doing sports talk radio here in Philadelphia for over 5 years. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for the past 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. We got a lot of great stuff to get into in today's episode. The Phillies had a monster game against the Mets last night, taking care of business. The final score will make it seem a little bit closer than it even felt actually watching that game last night. 9-3 the final. It was more dominant even than that. The Phillies were awesome. And we're going to talk about Ranger Suarez and the night that he had on the mound, and how the Phillies might be able to keep him when he hits free agency. I don't know if it's possible, but there's a theory as to why they could be more in on him right now. We're also going to preview Phillies-Mets Game 3 as the series continues. But right off the rip, we got to talk about Kyle Schwarber, who becomes just the 34th instance of a 50 home run season in Major League Baseball history. He becomes the second Philadelphia Philly to ever hit the 50 home run mark in a single season, joining Ryan Howard, who of course hit 58 back in 2006. Now, Howard won the MVP that year. Schwarber, will he be as lucky? I don't believe so. I know, yes, we want him to win MVP, but Shohei Ohtani still got the inside track. And Kyle Schwarber, the funny thing is, he's actually been really cold recently. He had the 4 home run game against the Atlanta Braves, which was miraculous. And then he just got quiet. And he was quiet leading into that 4-homer game too. And maybe it was the pressure of hitting 50. We see this all the time in baseball, right? A guy gets close to a milestone, and then he starts thinking about it, and people start asking about it, and it's on your mind, and the pressure starts to mount of just like, oh, when's 50 going to come? It just feels more important than your run-of-the-mill home run. And that's because it is, right? 50 is a momentous accomplishment for Kyle Schwarber. And the way he's done it is ridiculous. I'm going to talk to you about some of the numbers and just the unique aspects of Kyle Schwarber's 50th home run and what this season has been. But it's one of the great single seasons we've seen from an individual Phillies player ever, and especially recently. I mean, it's up there with Bryce Harper's 21 MVP season, with Roy Halladay's 2010 Cy Young season, with Brad Lidge in 2008, perfect as the closer in save situations, with Jimmy Rollins' MVP year in 07, with Ryan Howard's MVP year, obviously, in 2006, which we already mentioned, with Aaron Nola in 18 when he was the 3rd Cy Young candidate, with Zach Wheeler when he was runner-up for Cy Young. Like, there were a lot of different instances of solid seasons, great seasons, transcendent seasons, and Kyle Schwarber's name is now written right beside them in the history books. It's a beautiful thing, and he absolutely crushed number 50 to straightaway center, or I guess slightly left of straightaway center over Monty's angle out there where the wall cuts in right before you get to the actual batter's eye. Now, what I will say, 50 is great. And I want to celebrate this, and it's an amazing accomplishment. Again, only 34 times has it ever happened in Major League Baseball history. So it's not like this happens every year, and it's not like we've seen it in Philadelphia often. But while it is a great accomplishment, Kyle Schwarber does still need to continue to give this team more. Now, will this be an opportunity for Kyle Schwarber to, okay, monkey's off my back, I hit number 50, relax a little bit, get back to just a good approach at the plate so he can create more offense than just trying to slug 50. And I don't know how much he was thinking about it or trying for it. Like, Kyle Schwarber's a guy that has said many times, and believably so, Not an individual accomplishments guy. I want to help the team. How the team wins is the most important thing to me. And that's admirable. And I fully believe him when he says that. Some guys will say that, and then you could tell by the way they play the game, they're a little bit focused on the individual accolades. I really believe Schwarber's not. But subconsciously, maybe there was something about 50 that was changing his approach a little bit. So we'll see how that plays. He needs to continue to build on this, and maybe this is a big time momentum jump for him. But either way, to look back on the season that Kyle Schwarber has had, and really just the time in Philadelphia that Kyle Schwarber has had, he is, by all accounts, a journeyman baseball player. Starts his career in Chicago, Washington, Boston, now Philadelphia. He's played for 4 different teams in his major league career. And there was a stretch when he left Chicago and then he went to Washington, then he goes to Boston, where you look at it and you say, okay, that's a guy that has played for 3 teams in 2 years? Is that a guy that people are going to be heavy on getting when it comes to free agency? And the Phillies got him at an unbelievable deal considering the production. He has hit the most home runs in the first 4 seasons with the team outside of 2 guys. There are only 2 dudes who have hit more home runs in their first 4 seasons with the team. And when that list is Babe Ruth is one of the only other guys on it, that's how you know that what he's doing is special. And for him to be doing it at this point in his career, I believe the other is Aaron Judge with the New York Yankees. And it's incredible what he's been able to do with the Phillies. He might be the best bargain in baseball right now. I know you could make the argument for Shohei Ohtani with the deferred payment, but he's got to get that money. Aaron Judge obviously has gotten paid by the Yankees up there in New York. You look around at some of the great players in baseball, and you can't really make a strong argument for anybody over Kyle Schwarber for best value contract. And I don't mean to look at Trey Turner or Bryce Harper and say, well, those guys are getting paid too much. Why are they not producing? No, it's not to pit him against his teammates. It's just to tell you, when the Phillies signed this guy 4 years ago, nobody thought we were getting this. We thought we were getting 30, maybe 40 home runs, right? And that would be the peak. And maybe that would be once in that time. Maybe that would be every other year over that 4-year deal that the Phillies signed him to. Nope. Every single darn year, the guy has just been a monster, and this year he's taken it to another level. And now he was not alone last night. I don't want to just look at Kyle Schwarber, even though 50 is a momentous occasion, and that deserved its time. A couple other bright spots for the Phillies in a night where they had 13 hits and scored 9 runs. Well, we'll talk about Ranger in a little bit and what he was able to accomplish. Trust me, he's going to get his own shot. 6 innings scoreless, 1 hit allowed, 12 strikeouts, a career high for him. And we'll talk about whether or not the Phillies can keep him. Harrison Bader bats leadoff. And you know what? I said it on the radio. I forget if I think I brought it up on the podcast here as well. When Trey Turner went down, sneaky idea, maybe bat Harrison Bader leadoff. Right-handed hitter, balances out Harper and Schwarber at the top of the lineup. He's a guy that's been putting together great at-bats, speed, pop, everything you look for in Trey Turner. He's kind of like Trey Turner light right now with the way he's playing. He goes 3 for 5 with a home run. Bader is turning into a Mets killer, and he is turning into a Phillies fan favorite immediately, right? What a trade deadline acquisition by Dave Dombrowski. And Otto Kemp had a nice night last night, 2 for 3. He also had a home run, joining Bader and Schwarber. And Kemp, the cool thing is, he did it on his birthday, which is an awesome, awesome accomplishment for him to have. Now, he's far off from 50 like Schwarber hit this year. And I'm not trying to say, well, Otto Kemp needs to be up here playing even when Trey Turner and Alec Boehm come back. But you love moments like that, right? It reminds me of Weston Wilson in the Michael Lorenzen no-hitter, going out and hitting his first career home run in his first at-bat, right? It's a footnote on the game, but still one where you look at it and you say, you got to be happy for the kid. And you got some good appearances from a lot of guys last night. Bryce Harper, 2 for 4. You love to see that. He needs to start to come out of a little bit of a slump that he's been in. Nick Castellanos, a 2 RBI hit. There was a point early in this game where Nick Castellanos had the 2 RBIs, and he had the 3 runs scored in the series so far, all off of his bat. You love to see that from a guy who has not been playing much. People are saying angry Castellanos has shown up. Well, hey, whatever works. If he's annoyed he's not playing, he's making a case to say, hey, maybe I should still get plenty of time in the lineup. Maybe not every day starting, but when he gets opportunities, he stepped up, as have Kepler, Bader, Marsh, Weston Wilson, Otto Kemp, guys like this that you look at and you say, okay, well, when they get the opportunities, they have contributed something. Now, Wilson 0 for 4 last night, but there have been points this year where he has had big moments for the Philadelphia Phillies, sparingly, but that's how you have to win ball games, right? You have to be able to take care of business when your best guys are not at their best or not available. And the Phillies just went after Sean Manaea last night. The floodgates opened, and they put up 9 runs. And the 3 that they gave up, 2 of those came late in the bottom of the 8th inning. And that's not something that you're overly worried about when the game was an 8-1 blowout at that point. So a great night. The Phils have taken 2 of the first 2 from the Mets. The lead in the division is up to 9. And Ranger Suarez, we got to talk about him because he has taken over the lead role in this rotation. Is he their number 1? No. Is he pitching like it right now? Whew, absolutely. We'll give Ranger his love as we continue today's episode. Let's talk about FanDuel first, though, because the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There are a lot of great bets to make. You can bet money line. You can bet spread. You can bet player props. And I'll tell you right now, you better get on it quick because I bet all of those types of bets last week for week 1 of the NFL season, and I started off my NFL season 8-1 with the FanDuel app. Yeah, pretty darn good. So if you don't get in on it quick, they might be out of money because I'm going to take it all. But you can take some too because you're going to, again, bet just $5. And if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's also talk about our friends over at Nutrafol because they are great as well. And they've got a great product that you need to check out with Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. And that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Listen, you don't want to be, I like wearing hats, but I don't want to wear a hat every day. Sometimes I want to take this off and let the great head of hair flow. And if you don't have a great head of hair, well, Nutrafol's right there for you. Or maybe somebody in your family. They always say your mom's father, your grandfather on your mother's side is the indicator of whether or not you'll keep your hair. If you got worries about that, Nutrafol can help you be proactive before your hair even starts falling out. And you could feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Man, what a game it was last night for the Philadelphia Phillies. And Ranger Suarez was a big part of that too, not just Kyle Schwarber. So we'll talk about Ranger's start. And could the Phillies find a way to keep him in free agency this year? But I want to remind you that Locked On Phillies, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. So you can check us out anywhere. And if you do, please make sure you're rating and reviewing. And you can also watch us on YouTube. So if you're checking us out on YouTube today and watching in video form, hey, you appreciate it. How you doing? You can see the nice powder blue hat that I'm rocking today. Shout out to Phillies and one of their giveaway options. But hit that subscribe button. It's free and easy. It'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted. It helps you out. It helps us out here on Locked On Phillies. And also like the videos that you like. Liking and subscribing is a great way to help out the channel. So Ranger Suarez last night goes 6 scoreless, allows 1 hit, and strikes out 12. And he was flat out dominant. Aaron Nola was really, really good on Monday. Ranger Suarez was better. And Aaron Nola got the proper deserved credit because nobody expected it from him, right? He had been terrible pretty much all season. And then you get this shocking, oh my God, I didn't realize Nola still had this in him. Ranger, it's kind of like, okay, we expect him to be good. But there is kind of, at least in the back of my mind, you can let me know in the comments if you feel this as well. When he does take the mound, there is still that little twinge of, it's September. He's had struggles in September before. Will we see another stretch of, hey, he looks like he has dead arm, or he's got some nagging injury, or the velocity has dropped too much, he's lost his command? These have all been criticisms of Ranger Suarez in the past couple of seasons. It's why the Phillies decided to give Cristopher Sanchez a contract extension and not work out a deal previously with Ranger Suarez. And now he's going to be hitting free agency when things are all said and done at the end of this year. But he's going to do so in search of a big payday. And if last night's any indication, he's going to get one. Because when Zach Wheeler went down, I tweeted about this last night, the immediate thought, mine, probably yours, pretty much everybody's, was Cristopher Sanchez is the new number 1. He is going to be the guy who puts this rotation on his back and does what he has to do to carry them, right? That was the thought. Now, we didn't know if he would or would not, but that was who the expectations were heaped on. Ranger just had to keep doing what he was doing. Luzardo, Walker, see what you get out of Nola. But Sanchez is the ace now with Wheeler done for the year. And while Cristopher Sanchez, he hasn't been bad, right? I don't want you to take this as me saying, see, Sanchez didn't step up and we've got an issue with Cristopher Sanchez. No. That's not it at all. He's going to throw tonight. I think he's going to throw well as well. And he's been good all year. He's had some greatness. He's had some okay stuff. But really, when you look at the overall numbers, Cristopher Sanchez has been awesome. But Ranger Suarez has really been the guy in the wake of the Zach Wheeler news that has said, yeah, don't worry. I got us. I'm going to step up. I'm going to go on an incredible run where my ERA is low, my strikeout numbers are up. Everything just looks dominant from him right now. So that was awesome to see. And 12 strikeouts, a career high, could have been even higher. He had some opportunities where I think he got squeezed a little bit, where he could have even had some more strikeouts against the Mets. The Mets just could not see him. They brought it up on the TV broadcast, Tom McCarthy and John Kruk, where it just looked like the Mets' approach just was not any semblance of sane against Ranger Suarez. They're taking like 92-mile-an-hour sinkers that are very hittable pitches, and it was because Ranger was just varying his pitches well and hitting the spots he needs to. Changing up speed and location, it's the ultimate for pitchers, and Ranger did that incredibly last night. He didn't have any more movement than he normally does. He always has great movement, but the command was awesome, and the most impressive thing about Ranger's start was the mental thought process. He worked through, he and JT, what Mets hitters were going to try to do to him perfectly last night, and he had him off balance the whole time. So now your mind goes to, well, okay, Connor, you say Ranger's going to get paid this offseason. Will it be by the Phillies? I'll tell you, as I sit here today, this is as close as I've been to answering that question with a yes. Now, that by comparison is important because I was never close. I do not think he's coming back still. I did not think he was coming back. I didn't think he was going to get traded. And this is why I told you at the deadline, you cannot trade this guy. So anyone who wanted to trade Ranger Suarez, how do you feel now? I'm just asking. But I don't feel like it's likely that he's back because Kyle Schwarber is still priority number 1. There's a reason we led off the episode with Kyle Schwarber. There's a reason why Kyle Schwarber is in the MVP conversation. You can't take your eye off the ball. Re-signing Schwarber is priority numero uno. And Ranger falls secondary to that. And with the rotation and having Andrew Painter still down in the minors and Luzardo and Sanchez and Nola's locked down long-term, you look at it and you say, okay, we can get away with not having Ranger in the rotation, possibly, and if he goes in free agency. So that's a place where you could allow some concessions if you don't want to pay as much as Ranger's going to command. But the reason why I'm closest now, and it might be like a 5% chance that Ranger's back, is about where I'm at. But it's better than where I was at, which was like 0%. Zach Wheeler's injury is the only thing, right? If he misses part of next season, or the Phillies are uncertain when he will come back, if he will come back, any of that stuff, because that's still a scary injury issue he's dealing with the blood clot stuff. We have no clue when he's going to throw again. They could look at the rotation next year and say, do we roll into a season with Nola, Sanchez, Luzardo, Walker, Painter, and feel good about that? Is that good enough? They might have to take a gamble on it, and they probably will. But maybe if they feel that Wheeler is not going to be part of the plans next year, they do shell out and keep Ranger to keep this rotation afloat. I don't see it happening. I understand why they haven't. I get the downsides of Ranger Suarez. He's like a toxic relationship. We've all seen him or maybe been part of them. When it's bad, it's bad. You're screaming at each other. I hate this person. I never want to see you again. But when it's good, man, is it good. And this is the love affair with Ranger Suarez that we have right now. We're enjoying the good times with him. And it was a beautiful thing last night. And if it can carry to October, who knows? Maybe the Phillies will look at bringing him back for another season. But all we need right now is for this type of baseball to carry to tonight. Phils can make it 3 straight over the Mets with Sanchez on the mound. And will he continue the whole one-up idea of Nola threw well, Ranger threw well, now it's my turn to throw well? What does he have in store against the Mets? And why it might be a little bit of a revenge situation for him as well. We'll talk about that as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk about game time first, though, because there's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, the chance to maybe see history. Look at the 2 games in the Phillies-Mets series so far. You could have seen Aaron Nola throw 6 shutout innings and the Phils win 1-0 in a nail-biter. You could have seen Ranger Suarez dominate and Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th home run. That's something that's only ever happened one other time in the history of the Phillies franchise. And that's why you got to go to the game live. But I get it. Actually getting tickets is tough. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. Might as well watch from home, right? No. Might as well use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You're always going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. They don't just do baseball. They do all sports, football, basketball, hockey. They do comedy shows. They do concerts. They do theater performances. Anything you need a ticket to, Game Time has got you. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, Game 3, Phillies-Mets. And my goodness, has this series felt a lot different than what that one up in New York felt like. But I imagine that series up in New York is still fresh on the mind of one Cristopher Sanchez, who struggled in his start against the Mets up there. And you remember, if you watch that game, seeing him in the dugout, kicking the heck out of a trash can. We have never seen an emotional outburst like that in the career of Cristopher Sanchez. But that just kind of was how that series was going, right? This futile feeling of, we just can't beat this baseball team. Why can we not win? I'm better than this. Part of it was he was not getting the calls that he wanted, and part of it was his performance was not great. His stuff was not as good that night. But to see him mentally break like that was one of the lasting images of a series to forget. So tonight, he gets the opportunity to take advantage of a Mets team that is not swinging it well at all. Yes, they had 3 runs last night, which is 3 more than they had in game 1, but still, looking at last night's performance by the Mets, they got some garbage time worked in. They only had 8 hits, even with a couple of opportunities late in that game to really just pad the stats against like a Max Lazar out of the Phillies bullpen. They have not been swinging it well. So can Sanchez take advantage and keep them down? Well, the Mets are one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball against left-handed pitchers, right? Nola, that's why it was so impressive what he did as a righty on Monday, especially given his track record. But it should be no surprise what Ranger Suarez was able to do against them. And you'd expect Cristopher Sanchez to do the same. The Phillies are heavy favorites in tonight's game. And according to the ESPN analytics, they got a 60.6% chance to win. So they're big-time favorite. And part of that reason is because they're facing a guy in Clay Holmes who has been good this year, but not exceptional. His numbers are better than Sean Manaea, but Sean Manaea's numbers against the Phillies were insane before last night's game. Credit to the Phils for putting together just a great approach against Manaea, too. Trying to just fight the ball the other way if you're a lefty. As a righty, trying to make sure that you're eliminating that outside part of the plate, eliminating the inside part of the plate and just like reaching out to go get that backdoor breaking ball that he loves to throw so much to right-handed hitters. They did a really good job of making an adjustment. Took them long enough. But Clay Holmes is a guy that has only 117 strikeouts in 147 innings. You can hit him around a little bit. Now, will those hits fall in? That's something that really, it depends where you get them and how you get them. But he's not going to come out and punch out 10 tonight. You're going to have your opportunities to put bat on baseball. And that plays, I think, much more to the Philadelphia Phillies' skill set offensively. Sanchez, his strikeout numbers have been down a little bit lately, but he still has 186 Ks and 176 in the third innings. That's impressive. That's top tier in baseball. And if he's able to go out and get the punch-out stuff working, I think that is the key to him having a good start. I don't love when you face this Mets team trying to pitch to contact, right? It feels like a place where you get into trouble because they just have guys with really good bat control, and they have a couple of guys that can kill you hitting the ball out of the yard. But outside of Soto and Alonso, most of their hitters, bread and butter, gap-to-gap power, putting the ball in play, making good things happen on the base paths. And how do you avoid that? Don't let them put the bat on the baseball. So strikeouts are going to be huge for Cristopher Sanchez in this one. Now, here's what will be really intriguing. No Brandon Marsh again last night. You had Sean Manaea on the mound, so I think that had a lot to do with it. But he was also sick on Monday, which is why he didn't play in that game. Will we see Brandon Marsh back out there? Will we see Harrison Bader back out there, who needs to be, in my opinion, the everyday center fielder? Will Bader bat leadoff against a righty, or will it be back to Bryce Harper, who batted leadoff against the righty in game 1? So there's a lot of intriguing lineup decisions. And will Nick Castellanos, who has 3 RBIs so far in this series, only 2 hits, but 3 RBIs, does he get another start? Does Rob Thompson go back to the idea of Casty starting to heat up? I don't want to sit him down while he's got something rolling right now. He's earned a little opportunity to go out there and play. Is it Castellanos, Bader, Marsh? And then Kepler ends up the guy that in this series doesn't really get the opportunity to play as much? I wouldn't have any issue with that, but it's a good problem to have. The Phillies have gone from we can't play any of these guys in the outfield to, well, Castellanos has had a good series. Marsh has been playing really well lately. Bader, you can't sit him. And Kepler's been starting to swing it really, really well. What do you do? We'll be very, very interested in what happens with the lineup and who shows up too. The guys that I'm looking for tonight, though, are the 2 big guys. Does Kyle Schwarber build on his 50th home run last night, and now the floodgates open for him? And does Bryce Harper build on his 2-for-4 night and take advantage of a righty that he's seen pretty well in his career? Those are the 2 guys that I now want to see. Not just we saw the pitching get the job done in game 1. We saw the full lineup complement each other very well in game 2. Now I want to see the stars show up. That's what I want to see in game 3 against the Mets. And I'd love to see another win because, hey, You make this a 10-game lead in the division, it's over. I mean, it's probably already over right now. 9 games at this point, you lose the next 2, and you're leaving this series with the same amount of game lead over the Mets as what you went in with. Now, it's not just the Mets. You are keeping an eye on the Dodgers and the Cubs and the Brewers and the Padres and all these other teams in the National League postseason picture. But you can bury the Mets if you handle one of the remaining 2 games in this series. If this gets to 10 at any point in this series, I will call the division over. I'm not there yet, but I'm 1 game away. So maybe we'll have a call of the division coming on tomorrow's episode, but we'll certainly have some more great Phillies content and reaction to tonight's game. That's all for today's episode. Once again, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day here on Locked On Phillies. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that really helps us out and helps you out. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.